1 year ago, I asked myself, what if this corporate job is not enough for me? And what if I take this creative career thing seriously, quit everything that I know, and move to one of the country's most popular cities for creative people? My name is Chris, and at the time of this video, I am a full-time recording artist, composer, and creative professional operating entirely out of Los Angeles, California. I want to just clarify that this is not the first time that I've lived in the greater Los Angeles area, but this has been the first time that I've been able to live within the city limits and dedicate my time fully to creative work. Up until August of 2023, I worked a wide variety of jobs, from tech sales to advertising and marketing to live audio engineering. I even was a teacher for a bit. And something still didn't sit right after all those years about how I was conducting my time, and I really felt like I needed to make an honest bet on myself with my creative skill set. Even though I knew this was the right decision for my life, by no means was it an easy decision, and I'm so thankful for the people in my life that supported me logistically, financially, emotionally, and all of the other ways that really helped me make this dream a reality. One last thing before we get into it, this is by no means a prescriptive step-by-step process on how to move to LA yourself, but I do want to share my experiences with you and how I managed to get to where I am right now, what I would do differently, and I do want to let you know that I took huge risks that I could never ask anybody else to do in good faith. So let me get started with how I found a place in LA. LA is probably one of the most competitive housing markets in the entire US, and I would also wager that it's one of the most expensive. One aspect of this that I was completely unprepared for when I first moved here is how quick the listing to leasing process is when it comes to renting an apartment. A lot of the places that I had saved up for a month were completely gone by the time I actually got in LA, and a lot of showings would want me to make a decision or send in an application almost immediately. Of course, that being said, I don't think that it's fruitless to have a database of all of the different units that you'd like to rent within a neighborhood. It's really good to get an average cost in mind, especially because I recommend saving up 4 times that amount so that you can cover any security deposits, moving fees, or any sort of like property management fees that might be tied into your lease. To be very specific, I live in downtown Los Angeles, and I split a 1-bedroom apartment for $2,400 a month, and we had saved up $10,000 in order to move successfully and smoothly into this neighborhood, and we ended up needing all of that money to make sure that we covered all of our expenses. I know this sounds like an absolute ton of money, and it is, but as someone who doesn't drive, I needed to live close to a central downtown area to run my errands and get around and have access to a lot of good public transit. So even though it was a decision that came at some financial compromises, I'm glad that I didn't make any logistic or lifestyle compromises in order for this to work. So speaking of work, let's talk about my experiences with finding work as a full-time creative in LA. The arts and entertainment industry are extremely competitive out here, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. And I've found more work even from clients that don't even live in the city, just by nature of the fact that I live in LA. It seems like there's a signal that goes up that makes them want to work with you more. So even though I get a lot of work online over the internet, that doesn't discount the importance of networking in my day-to-day life, and having access to a portfolio where people can easily understand what your work looks like, especially if it's on Instagram out here, is something that everybody is going to be asking for when you meet a new contact at an event. Every single piece of work that I've gotten in the past year, I've either gotten through a friend of a friend, someone I met at a convention or an industry party, or someone that I met or played with at a small concert. And I try to prioritize at least 2 of these encounters a month in order to keep my opportunities open and to kind of understand what's going on in the city around me. One more thing about networking before I move on. I have come to realize that following up is about 80% of securing a job opportunity. And this goes with even people that I've known for several years or people that I'm really close with, because we get distracted all the time. We're living these really busy lives. Even if we're really enthusiastic about an idea, we can often forget it in a sea of other things that we're cluttered with. And following up within a week of proposing a new idea or making a new connection helps me stay top of mind and helps that relationship stay active towards that goal. So speaking of being busy all the time, the next thing I want to talk about is time management. And I really do believe that I could make an entire video about this subject alone, but something I always say is that being able to manage a business successfully means that you are able to master the art of managing both your time and your energy. I'll be honest in saying that this is the area that I think that I've grown the most in this past year. Managing your personal time against your work time, your social energy, and all other obligations is extremely difficult in a city that is so large as Los Angeles, especially when there's something new every single night that you can get caught up in if you're looking for it. Now, like I said before, it's really important to put yourself out there, and it's really important to network in a city that's as competitive as Los Angeles. But a good analogy that helps me stay in check is if I treat my life like a garden. There are going to be seasons where I need to sow and create new opportunities. But if I don't water the plants that are already in my garden and make sure they have enough sunlight and enough space to grow, I will never be able to reap what I sow. The thing I think I learned the hard way the most this year was that the people that I spend the most time with need to share my values and respect my time. There are so many people out in this city that are willing to sell someone the idea of feeling successful, but will take your time and energy away from you creating what success means to you in your life. So with that out of the way, let's get into what I would do differently if I knew a year ago the things that I know now. And the first thing on that list would be to build a body of unreleased musical work. As I've said in a previous video, I am a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to writing music. And when a song is done, I kind of want to put it out into the world as quickly as possible so that I don't continue to make revisions to it after I decide that it's finished. Now I realize that this is a bit of a detriment and that I leave a lot of money on the table when it comes to this, especially when it comes to work that I'm hired to do when I'm learning a new style, because licensing is such a huge industry and there's so much money to be made with music that you own all of the rights to, especially if it's unreleased. So what I would do in the future is that upon finishing a commission, I would make a lot of music in that style and then have that in a library for people to be able to check out. The second thing I've learned this past year and that I would do differently is the reality that my personal brand is my resume, and simplifying it to make it easier for people to understand what I'm about is essential for attracting new clients. When I moved here a year ago, I wanted to be known as a recording artist, a composer, and also a virtual streamer. And it was really hard for new clients to get into what I was doing because they didn't really know what my main focus was. On the branding aspect, the other thing that I would have done differently is to build a community around my own sound and my own style instead of trying to match the energy of communities around me. It's important to be part of a group of creatives that can lift you up, but if you lose yourself in the process, it's really hard for people to latch onto what you're doing. Another thing I learned in this past year is how to be slow to grow and even slower to hire. I think everybody wants the thrill of being at the end game creatively and career-wise, but if you don't do the hard and boring work every day on a consistent basis, you might miss out on some crucial foundations that build that future environment for you. I spent the majority of the first half of this year trying to expand my operation and grow my brand, and I was doing a lot of stuff that wasn't creating music. And what I realized was that I wasn't at the level that I really needed to outsource these tasks. On the subject of funding, I think something that has changed for me mentally is the idea of having a part-time job as you flesh out your creative career. I'm really thankful that I've been able to make this work through the advent of sponsorships and commissions and also streaming revenue, but it's definitely been a stressful ride, and I don't think all of that stress was entirely healthy to my creative process. I think the amount of upstart that's required for running your own business and creating a personal brand and content creating and constantly promoting your work was something that I wasn't necessarily prepared for, and I would have greatly appreciated that financial cushion to give me enough breathing room to figure out all the minor details. Another really unspoken aspect of working for yourself is how isolating the days can become when you're wrapped up in a lot of projects. And I think having a structure like a part-time job that allows you to be social while you work and earn income is something that is healthy for a lot of people. Striking that balance is really difficult at first, and having some ease into it would be something that I think a lot of people could benefit from. To wrap this all up, I do want to say that this has been one of the hardest years of my life, but I am really thankful for all of it, and I'm thankful for everybody that has supported me as I go on this journey. Living in a city with so much creative energy and so much vibrance and so many people that share similar dreams as me has been so rewarding and helps me get going when the going gets tough. As I've said before, I'm really open about sharing my process, and the more that I learn, the more that I'm happy to be able to help others. And if you're someone that wants to learn alongside me and see my process in real time, join my Discord. I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, let me know if this video has been helpful for you, or if it's inspired you at all. If you're interested in visiting LA, or if you have any other questions, feel free to drop a comment in this video. And if you like this video and you want to see more from me, please hit subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you soon.